I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up, we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion. I second.
First, second, all those in favor? So, okay. Next up, we need a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to adopt, or to pass, yes, the consent agenda.
Motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor? 6-0. All right. Wonderful. Okay, so we have a really packed house for all great reasons. So we're going to start off with Employee of the Month, as we do. The first person we're going to recognize this month is Megan Melton. Megan comes to us from the middle school, coming on down front and center. Megan was nominated by her peers or members of the public for her exemplary work. Megan has such a unique way of seeing kids as wonderful and necessary works in progress. Her desire to mentor kids' growth is contagious and inspiring. So we thank you for your service. Oh, wow. You're first. Yeah, you can.
You will love the
You're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Have you stand right here?
All right.
Go, you go, because you'll use it.
Thanks, Megan.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
I don't see her, but she might be in the hall. Tracy Bryant. Is she out there? No? Okay, I'm going to read this anyway because she deserves to be recognized. Tracy works at Cottonwood. She was also nominated by her peers or members of the public for her exemplary work. It stated, Tracy provides invaluable support for our diabetic students at Cottonwood. She's always willing to step up and take on more responsibilities in addition to her regular duties. She always does a great job. So, Tracy, wherever you're at this evening, we thank you for your job. All right, next up is Matt for Board Appreciation.
Yeah, so January is School Board Appreciation Month, so all of you have in front of you a little certificate that just says thank you. It has my signature, which means it's not worth much of anything. But also you have just a small token from the district at your desk as a thank you, and we know that there's a lot of volunteer hours, a lot of time spent behind the scenes, so just a little token of our appreciation for being a board member.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, PHS Spirit Squad. Come on down front and center, ladies. These girls have worked their tails off time and time again. Having been a part of the, not this squad, but Paola High School squad when I was in high school, if you think cheerleading isn't a sport, talk to me after the meeting, because I've got another thing to say to you. So ladies, we are going to recognize you for your amazing work and your hard dedication to this sport. This proclamation, whereas the Kansas State High School Activities Association sponsors a state championship for spirit squads each year for member schools to showcase their students' talents, and whereas Paola High School, in an effort to develop a strong sense of school spirit, offers a spirit squad program to students, and whereas Unified School District 368 has been blessed with a particularly dedicated and highly talented group of student athletes and equally hardworking coaches, Hannah and Regina, having culminated in winning their 4th KSHSAA Class 4A State Game Day Cheer Championship in the last 5 years. It's amazing. Now, therefore, the Paola Unified School District 368 Board of Education does hereby proclaim this day of January 12, 2026 as Day of Recognition for the Paola High School Spirit Squad. In witness whereof, I hereunto, that's a lot of reading, set my hand and cause the official USD368 seal affixed this 12th day of January 2026.
Ladies, real quick, if you don't mind, if you can introduce yourself. And then seniors, if you can give us just real quick, I'm gonna put you on the spot, just say, hey, what you think your plan is for next year, if you know. And it's okay if you don't know.
I'll start. I'm Ella Keckner. I plan to go to Oklahoma State University to major in nursing.
My name is Ella Graham. I'm planning to be on the dance team at the University of Arkansas and major in nursing.
My name is Kira McIntyre, and I plan to go to the University of Kansas to major in physical therapy.
Hi, my name is Ruth. I plan on going to Wichita State University and majoring in health science and minoring in business administration, and then also trying out for their dance team.
I'm Kaylin Kirk.
I'm Charlotte Hobart.
I'm Maddie Hurdle.
I'm Luna Froman.
I'm Lucy Head.
I'm Kayla Hurdle.
I'm Emma Green.
I'm Emerson Brown.
I'm Olivia Israel.
I'm Finley Curl.
I'm Aliana Sparks.
I'm Mason Good.
Hannah Hasselquist.
And Regina Hollinger.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. We are going to move on to our information and discussion items. No, I'm not. Rewind.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna go backwards to the principals. Jeff, you're standing, you wanna start us off?
Yeah, you bet. I've got just 3 quick things for you. As we went into our Christmas break, our debate squad started their break late, and they went to their regional tournament, and they were crowned regional champions. So there's only 4 regionals in the state, so 1 of 4, and they're going to be competing at the 4-speaker, which is the gold standard for debate in Kansas, state tournament on Friday and Saturday down in Copperville. So hopefully I've got some exciting news to share about their performance when we next see each other in February. This last week we did something new and different. We invited some members of the American Legion in Paola to come and share information about opportunities that we have in our community for mostly our juniors. And so Dick Kais and Kevin Chasteen came in and spoke to our junior U.S. history classes. And so we're hoping that they will take advantage of things like girls and boys state in greater frequency than we're seeing right now. Both are excellent programs that are scholarship if they're selected. And then we had last week our recent graduates come back, and they do that as a panel, and they talk to our juniors and seniors. It's always nice. They hear about the world from us adults, but then they hear from somebody that they actually went to high school with, and it changes the perspective just a little bit. Mr. Gannon stepped in the back. You just want to talk about regional wrestling?
Yeah, so we got asked to host boys regional wrestling this year. And so that will be, I don't know the date off the top of my head.
February 21st.
Yeah, and so we will be hosting 1 of 4 in the state, and it'll be, let's see, us, Lewisburg, and basically everybody south will be coming up here. So we're looking forward to that. And I was going to touch on this when the cheerleaders left. I'm not sure which game it is, but they will be doing their performance that they did at game day at one of our upcoming home basketball games. Maybe homecoming. Yeah, so anyway, we have that coming up. And we have Sadie's coming up in February 14th and homecoming the night before.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Mark, are you here?
Mark?
He's in the back.
Principals.
Yeah, a couple things. So first of all, good to have everybody back in the building. Monday's in-service was really, really good. I want to say thanks to Brendan Riffle for setting up a dynamic speaker that we got to enjoy in the afternoon. But in the morning, teachers spent time, I worked with our math teachers to work on creating mini tests that we're going to give during seminar for our kids to continue to work on our math piece. And then also to help with ELA, our ELA teachers worked with the rest of the staff on creating basically kind of little assignments on informational text and question probes for them when they're taking those. And so kind of excited about that. And actually I was talking to Nick Timish today, and he was talking about how he already gave one, and that the kids did really well on that. And then it was also cool to see him conversing with Misty Pratt, who is one of our ELA teachers, and so that's what we want, right? We want our teachers talking about those things, and it's cross-curricular. And so we want our kids to understand that it's not just the ELA teachers that teach reading, and we also want our kids to understand that it's not just the math teacher's responsibility to make sure that we're doing well in math too. So we're trying to bring that cohesiveness together. So
Awesome.
yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Stacy? Welcome.
Once again, the morning insert, or the in-service on Monday, great presentation. Shout out to Brendan for helping organize that. We spent the morning going through data. We looked at data in a different way. Ivy Potter led us through that. And then we worked on an idea that has come from our site team, just in creating informational videos for parents on, when you get a report card, how do you look at it, when you get different state assessment reports, different things that are going on in our building so that parents can understand what those are. And then, of course, we're very excited that Meadow Richardson, our art teacher, was awarded the Horizon Award this week. So that was a surprise. Matt helped us with that. We were starting our WIN group and surprised her. She got called up to the office and for a phone call, and the kids we live streamed it, and the kids got to sit in the gym and watch it. So that was a lot of fun. And then we started our Panther Clubs last week. That's always a fan favorite of the students. It's the one time where they get to choose their direction and how they want to learn, and they love it. So awesome. That's where we're at.
Thank you. Mr. Riffle.
Good evening, glad to be here. Couple things, I just wanted to give a shout out to Sunflower, because we're borrowing or stealing one of their ideas. The Rise and Shine Reading Buddy Club is coming to Cottonwood beginning tomorrow. And we have 28 students that are signed up for that. Kindergarten and first grade that are going to be partnered up with their second grade reading buddies to try to encourage reading. That will happen early in the morning at 7:40, and so as students roll in, they'll be partnered up with their second grade reading buddies and their teachers, of course, too, to help reinforce that reading. So we're looking forward to that. And then also, sort of a new thing, just again to reinforce reading, pizza lunch with Mr. Riffle, because I like pizza, and kids do too. And so it'll be a good time for us to connect on, to discuss the latest literary trends in first and second grade and kindergarten as well, and talk about what they like about reading and how they're doing there. So looking forward to that, meeting with our kiddos there. Also had a good professional development day. It was an honor to bring back one of my former students. Dustin Gallion did a great job. But in the morning at Cottonwood, we got to collaborate as a team, and also with a teacher out of Olathe, behavior specialist, to talk about how to handle student behavior, strategies for that, and how to implement that both in the classroom and throughout the school. So it was a good day for teachers and staff on that. So.
Awesome.
Any questions or anything?
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Any acknowledgements from the board? Okay. All right. Now we're moving on to our PHS student presentation with Jeff and FFA.
Yeah. So Mr. Menifee's here. Mr. Scholl had an engagement tonight, so he's not able to be with us. But this is our parliamentary procedure team that will compete at the state contest this summer, representing the East Central District. We have one of the more difficult districts in the state to qualify out of, and they were one of the two teams that advanced to that next level. So they are going to demonstrate a model meeting and show how parliamentary procedure can be utilized. And obviously that's something we use here once a month as well, so that'd be pretty fit.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. They'll have a topic for discussion, and then when they sit down, each of them has a motion assigned to them. When they walk into an event, they get 1 minute to look at it. They have no idea what they're doing until they get to space. So they truly have to understand every component of parliamentary procedure when they do it.
We are skipping the minute tonight, so that way we can move along.
Okay.
Is there any new or unfinished business which should properly be brought to the attention of the assembly?
Madam Chair,
Joey?
I move that our FFA chapter works with the local alumni to host a food drive for the local food pantry.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that our FFA chapter works with the local alumni to host a food drive for the local food pantry. Joey, as the maker of this motion, you have the first right to debate. Would you like to exercise that right?
Yes, thank you. I believe that our FFA chapter should pass this main motion, as there are many families within our community that may not have the greatest access to food. My grandfather runs and helps set up the Harvesters Food Pantry at a church here in Paola, and he'd be a great resource to come to, and it would allow us to put out a greater amount of food for families. So I believe that we should pass this. Please join me in voting yes.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Kira?
I rise in strong opposition of this motion. Seeing as we've had many fundraisers already this year and many opportunities for our members to donate, this would be asking for just another thing from them, and it would not be good for us to do because it would be a waste of our resources, as we would not get very many donations. Please vote no.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
James?
I rise in disagreement with this motion. Our FFA chapter already has a food pantry for our students called Panthers Helping Panthers. Please join me in failing this motion.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Caitlin?
I rise in strong favor of this motion due to the fact that this will give our students great community service hours and they will get to know our alumni better. Please vote yes.
Discussion on the main motion?
Madam Chair,
KJ?
I rise in strong disagreement with this motion. It is simply too vague to consider. There is not a date, there is not a time specified, there is not even a food pantry that we're going to help specify, as we have multiple in the community. We simply cannot consider this motion because it is too vague. Fail this motion.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair. Question of privilege.
State your question.
It's warm in here. May I please remove my jacket?
No, you may not.
Appeal the decision of the chair.
The decision of the chair has been challenged. It requires a 2/3 vote not to support the decision of the chair. All those in favor of sustaining the decision of the chair, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All those who oppose, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With 3 in the affirmative and 2 in the negative, the decision of the chair will remain sustained. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Caitlin?
I move we amend this motion by striking out local and adding Panthers Helping Panthers.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we amend the main motion by striking out local and inserting Panthers Helping Panthers so that the main motion would read that our FFA chapter works with the local alumni to host a food drive for the Panthers Helping Panthers food pantry. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Caitlin?
I rise in strong favor of this amendment due to the fact that we are specifying our food pantry, and it is a local food pantry to our FFA, and it will give the students an opportunity to work through the school. Please vote yes.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Joey?
I disagree with this amendment because not everybody in Paola and surrounding communities have kids that go to Paola High School, so just limiting it to the Panthers Helping Panthers food pantry would greatly limit the amount of people that did have access. So for that, I disagree, and please join me in voting no.
Discussion?
Madam Chair,
KJ?
I move that we take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we take a 5-minute recess. All those in favor of taking a 5-minute recess say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have and the motion is lost. We will not be taking a 5-minute recess. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Madam Chair,
Caitlin?
I move we limit debate to 1 debate per debater per debatable motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we limit debate to 1 debate per debater per debatable motion. All those in favor of limiting the debate, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All those who oppose, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With 2 in the affirmative and 3 in the negative, the motion is lost. We will not be limiting the debates. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Madam Chair,
KJ?
I rise in strong disagreement with this amendment as well. There is not a date attached to it yet. Because there is no date attached, we don't know when this is going to happen, and our spring semester is incredibly busy with wrestling going on, robotics, FFA, people preparing for their state CDEs and LDEs. There's simply no time, and the motion is still too vague to consider. Join me in failing this motion.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
James?
I rise in strong agreement with this amendment, as our students in the high school are the ones most in need of this food. Please join me in voting yes.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Kira?
I strongly support this amendment. As I already mentioned, we already have done a lot of fundraising in the past year, but this would be a great way to show people in the community what we're doing with the money and giving back by raising awareness for our food pantry. Please vote yes.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Joey?
I move that we suspend the standing chapter rule and allow us to wear casual dress at our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and allow casual dress at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Since it is a standing chapter rule, it requires a 2/3 vote for passage.
I rise to a point of order.
State your point.
This motion requires a 2/3 vote.
Thank you. According to Robert's Rule of Order, a standing chapter rule requires a majority vote for passage. We will continue to vote on suspending the rules. All those in favor of suspending the rules and allowing casual dress at our next regularly scheduled meeting say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have and the motion is lost. We will not be allowing casual dress at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of striking out local and inserting Panthers Helping Panthers so that our main motion would read that our FFA chapter works with the local alumni to host a food drive for the Panthers Helping Panthers food pantry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have and the motion is adopted. Our main motion now reads that our FFA chapter works with the local alumni to host a food drive for the Panthers Helping Panthers food pantry. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
KJ.
I move that we postpone this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we postpone this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
KJ.
It is beneficial to postpone this meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting because it will give us more time to make the motion more clear, work with our calendar, talk with our peers, our teachers, the principal, find more information on when to schedule this and how to make it more effective and less vague. Please join me in passing this postponement.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Caitlin.
I raise in strong opposition of this postponement due to the fact that we already have an agenda for next meeting, and that is going over FFA week. Please vote no.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Kira.
I strongly disagree with this postponement. This would just cause us to have less time to discuss as we would be busy working on other motions, and with all of our chapter leaders here today, there's no reason to put this off. Please vote no.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Joey.
I disagree with this postponement because it will take time to get this out to our fellow FFA members and people in the Pale High School so that we can get enough students to help out with this fundraiser and the food drive, so please join me in voting no.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
James.
I rise in strong support of this postponement, as we need more time to plan out this food drive to make it a success. As my fellow colleague has said, we do not have a date. Please join me in voting yes.
Is there any discussion on the postponement? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of postponing this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have and the motion is lost. We will not be postponing this motion to our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is there any discussion on the main motion?
Madam Chair.
Caitlin.
I still rise in strong favor of this motion due to the fact that this is a great opportunity for the students in our FFA and in the high school. If this passes, I will work with the counselors to get something out to the school. Please vote yes.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Kira.
I still oppose this motion. As I mentioned earlier, we've already done a lot of fundraising this year and asked our members to do a lot of donations, so this would just be asking too much of them. However, if it passes, I will work with local stores to get donations for the food drive. Please vote no.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Joey.
I still agree with this main motion. Although I disagree with the amendment, it still would be beneficial because those students in the community and their parents, it would allow them to get food. And coming out of the holiday season, some families may be running scarce. So once again, please join me in voting yes.
Discussion on the main motion?
Madam Chair.
James.
After the amendment, I rise in strong support of this motion. To help to host a local food drive would be beneficial for our students in our high school in order to get them the food that they need. Please join me in voting yes.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
KJ.
I still rise in strong opposition of this motion. Just because we say what food pantry we're going to help doesn't mean we know when. It doesn't mean we've talked with our principal. It doesn't mean we've talked with all the chapter officers and figured out the best date possible. This motion is too vague. It will not work. It will fail. It is simply saying we have an idea with no way to implement it. This motion must fail.
Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question? The question is that our FFA chapter works with the local alumni to host a food drive for the Panthers Helping Panthers food pantry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose say no.
No.
The ayes have and the motion is adopted. Our FFA chapter will work with the local alumni to host a food drive for the Panthers Helping Panthers food pantry. Is there any new business at this time?
Madam Chair.
Kira.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose, say no.
No.
The ayes have and the motion is adopted. I now declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you so much.
Their competition last event was back in November. They practiced once since then, so they're a little rusty tonight.
It was when Vegas, yeah, it's not.
All right, moving along in the information and discussion items, we've got, I've got just a couple reminders. First of all, we have a special board meeting at Cottonwood on January 20th at 7:30. So those are, that's kicking off our round of spring tours that we'll do. So we'll meet at 7:30 at Cottonwood. It should last us until about 9 o'clock. We're usually pretty good about keeping to 9 o'clock and being done. So if you could join us, that would be much appreciated. Just a reminder for those meetings, they're like these meetings and it requires at least 4 of us to be there in order to do it. So just kind of a heads up. The next reminder is that we have the Foundations of Boardmanship here at the central office, January 30th at 9 o'clock. I believe that's Joel, myself, Jamie, and Matt. We'll start at 9 and we should be done about 2. And then the next reminder we have is that we will be having a whole board and superintendent training on February 26th at 6 p.m. That should be done by 8. Again, it's going to be beneficial for us as a board that we're all here that evening. So just reminders for your calendars. Next is KASB Board Policy Recommendation Updates with Matt.
Yeah, so on the agenda, you'll see quite a few proposed policy updates from KSB. So they do this twice per year. They'll have one that comes out for the January meeting, and then they'll have another one that they'll release in June for the July meeting. And so the last, say, year or so, we've gotten a habit of, we post the policy online for all of you to look at. So you can, and this group is fairly lengthy, so you can look at it, you can review that, and for discussion and adoption or not at the next meeting. A lot of these, when this comes up, is usually in relation to any statute changes, both at the state level or federal policy changes, and so to make sure that our policies are in line with statute. And then they also, KSB also goes through and just make sure, cleans up any verbiage that may have need updated and so forth. One of them that on this one is new, and to be honest with you, it's changing so fast that I foresee this being a policy that will come up quite often, and that's the use of artificial intelligence. And so that's a brand new policy. So we'll look at those. We'll look at those next month, and I'll have my recommendations at that point. But for right now, to get these in front of you so you can look at it and be able to do your due diligence.
Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Last up for information is cell phone discussion. It was brought to us to add this to our discussion. There's been some talk about possibly adding policy, changing handbook language as far as cell phone usage in the classroom and in our school buildings is concerned. So we just, it's a chance for us as a board to speak, share our thoughts, concerns, have discussion on the topic of cell phones. Matt had included the handbook wording for all 4 buildings, so you have access to that as well. So I will open the floor to,
I personally think it'd be a good idea to have a uniform policy across all schools when it comes to cell phones. It looks like we possibly could get a state ban on it in schools this year, but I think that if we could come up with our own policy ahead of time, it would be a smoother transition. That's my thought.
do you think it's something that if we had our own policy in place, that if something came from the state, that we would be able to maybe just use our already made one, or do you think we'd have to adopt?
My
Does that make
goal would
sense?
be
My
to
question?
have it so if districts already have something that's implemented, they could
Keep their own, okay.
On the high schools, it says what it has in there. It says staff will not physically take your hat or phone away from you. Is that because we legally can't, or is that just because we don't?
We don't. And Jeff, and all the principals are aware of the discussion, and they can answer questions in regard to it. So Mr. Hines can speak to that,
So,
how he deals, because high school does deal with a little bit different than the others.
Sure.
So the lead-up statement to that is that teachers have the ability to set their own policy in their own classroom. At the high school level to date, we have tried to mirror what students may encounter after they graduate. So some employers are really strict to the point where you could be terminated if you're on your phone. Others, it's a part of your profession, you need to have it with you. And so we see some classrooms that are zero tolerance, shouldn't have your phone out. We see others that have a phone home, and when you get to the part of the lesson where it's individual work time, you could have your phone in, but it's not allowed else other times in class. That being said, we don't ever want to put a teacher in a situation where they're grabbing and taking a student's property from them, because it can cause conflict. So not only do we tell our staff that in August at our back to school meeting, we also tell our students that very statement and read it exactly as written, and we avoid a lot of problems that way. To be honest with you, when a student comes down to us over a cell phone issue because they haven't met expectations, it's a much easier conversation for Darren and I to have one-on-one with the student versus a teacher with 20-some spectators in a classroom where it looks like the teacher wins and the student loses, or vice versa based on what happens with the phone. So that's why that caveat's there.
Okay, so so say they have the cell phone out, they're in a classroom, they're not supposed to have it in.
Yeah.
What happens then at that point?
Sure. A couple of things happen. First of all, they come down to the office. If it's a first offense, we keep it in the office for the rest of the day. If they say, oh, my grandma's having a surgery today, I really have to have my phone, my mom was gonna be calling me, I thought it was that. We'll work with them and say, you know what, we're gonna keep it here because that's the expectation, but during your passing period or during your lunch, if you want to come in and stand at the counter and check that message, then we're happy to accommodate that. When it happens a second or a third time, then we start giving consequences like after school detentions and things like that. Have we now had 2, or is it still just 1? Still just 1. In all the years that Darren and I have worked together, now 9, we've suspended 1 student over refusal to turn their phone in with us. It's taken quite a while, a couple of times, but eventually they get to the point where they understand that they need to leave it, and then we get them back in class as quick as we can.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeff, how would you see this? How would you see this working with teachers and phones if the state does ban something? I mean, with teachers, with students, how would you? What would be your suggestion on how to handle that, and the accessibility of you having it? Because I'm sure you guys use it to communicate throughout the school right now. I mean, what would be the simple? What would be your recommendation?
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts come to mind. Number one, if the expectation is in a teaching and learning environment and class is going on, then the expectation for the students should be the expectation for the staff as well. But we do have classes that go outside, for example, to the greenhouse, where I would want a staff member to carry their cell phone in case there was an emergency, either in the greenhouse space or in the school, and we could call out there. Other examples would be places like our welding shop where the intercom system isn't loud enough to hear the tools running, and so I would encourage them to keep their phone silent in their pocket should we need them during that time. So again, similar, if not identical expectation for staff as it is for students. The most important thing I think we could do, I shared this at our site council meeting that Sean was at earlier in the fall, is that a school district south of us had put a 8 a.m. to 3 o'clock cell phone ban in place, and there were 2 or 3 really good questions that parents had, and I felt like after following that on social media over the summer, there were a few messaging things that if we would have done differently, all of those fears would have been assuaged, and the rollout would have went a lot smoother. So no matter what we do, I think the front end communication to parents and a little bit of lead up time would be critical. And bouncing that off of not just a few staff members, but also have children, but some people in the community say, what are we missing either with this policy or the messaging that's going to go out about the policy would probably be really helpful.
Have you had any issues with smartwatches?
Not that I could speak of. It hasn't been problematic, or kids using them to communicate. So getting a phone, I'm certain it probably are.
Because I would think if we ban cell phones and make them put it in their bag, you have your watch on, you can still communicate.
Really good point.
Yeah, I think I would say, I think if we're gonna do something like that, that would need to be included.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it is a big issue, like it's a big distraction that's happening in our classrooms?
I've asked that question repeatedly of classroom teachers. I think it's how they manage it in their classroom to determine what the issue is. I'll be honest, I think AI is a bigger detriment to education right now until we get guardrails up and establish boundaries of what it should or shouldn't be used for. And we had an administrative conversation about that recently, but it's going to take a little while. There's some heavy lifting to get it right before it's rolled out to you. But that being said, the lack of consistency from one classroom to the next would be my biggest concern. But undoubtedly, when students have their device out on their desktop when direct instruction is going on, your mind's not completely on where it needs to be. And so, yeah, I do think there's a negative impact on teaching and learning.
I'd like to add that too. I think we have, I don't want to say a small or large, but I think we have a group of students who their cell phone is more of an issue than for other students.
Sure.
Whether it's drama, whether it's, addiction, just got to be on it, playing games, whatever. I think it's different for each kind of group of kids. And so figuring out what makes that kid tick or that group tick is also kind of important. Because we've seen the cell phone issues and we deal with more of the drama side of it, what he said, she said, this over the weekend, and they posted this, and this was my return, and all that. So, but that group is honestly small, really. And so I think that plays an issue into it too.
I feel like where there's a will, there's a way. They'll figure out a way to use a device. I mean, good or bad. I see both sides of it, having been in the classroom, but in a classroom where first graders don't typically have cell phones, and if they had an emergency, it was my responsibility to care for them. And I know that's hard from the parent side, from the public side, to put all your trust in one sole human being. So as my kids get older, I understand, especially with the world we live in, the comfort that it brings to know that your child has a device in an instance to get a hold of you if absolutely necessary. Do I think that it needs to have any place inside the classroom? No. I don't personally feel that that's ever, I can't in my mind find a place where a cell phone, especially when we give every student access to a Chromebook, different times when we were asking them to bring their own device, I could see that being a reason to have it and have it out, but now that we equip them with a device, I feel like that's, and Matt has said, they'll communicate through a Google Doc if they want to talk, if that's what's all available to them. But having it as, backup lesson plans, when we're done with our work, to have that as the backup activity, to me is a no. I can find no reason to have it out during that instructional period. Like if you have time after a lesson is done, instruction something, that's my 2 cents.
I agree. I actually like the middle school's policy.
Now, let's see, use of electronic devices in classroom is not needed as each student has a school-issued Chromebook, which is kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
If students choose to bring their electronic device, we request that the device be turned off during the school day and kept in their school-issued locker or backpack.
Yeah, one of the things I would share on that too is, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit as well, but, for the longest time, kids weren't allowed to take their backpacks to classes. They had to be in their locker. COVID didn't get away with that, right? And so we've had discussions with our staff and that, hey, yeah, let's go ahead and let them keep their backpack with them, and so they have that. Kids don't use lockers at all anymore. They're assigned a locker, but they don't use it. But one of the things that I actually have thought about is maybe we go back that they have to use it. Then we know for sure that phone is in there, it's supposed to be in there. Because, I'll be honest, they're in their backpacks. Yeah, the kids have it on them all the time. The girls wear these little satchels or whatever that you want to call crossbody type deal. I know the phone's in there. Does it probably get used in the restroom? Yeah, probably. It's one of those things that it is hard to control, but I don't think we have a huge issue either, though. We used to have a lot of problems where kids were basically getting cyberbullied during the school day because there was a time when kids were allowed to use their cell phone device. Some of that was even before we even had the Chromebooks, because it was a bring your own device policy that we had, and so we did deal with that quite a bit. But we don't see that as much anymore, and that's a good piece for us to be able to visit with our kids and our parents about too, that hey, it really probably isn't happening here at school because they're not supposed to be on it. And then the other piece that we do battle, you talked about it, Amanda, hey, the parents really like that comfort knowing that their child's got their phone on them too. We've had those conversations too with parents and also with kids because sometimes it's like, hey, well, you're not supposed to be, well, I'm talking to my mom, or I'm talking to my dad. So it is one of those things that, hey, I know we can try to figure something out and get it right, but there's always going to be, hills or hurdles that you have to get over with.
Sure. What is the middle school, like if a student has their cell phone out, like what is?
So essentially basically what happens is then it gets brought down to the office and sits in the office till the end of the day, and then they pick it up at the end of the day. If they're a repeat offender, we'll call the parent, they have to come and get it.
Okay. I like that. I like it.
I will say one thing to be aware of, and Samantha mentioned that there are companion bills in the legislature that will be heard, one in the House and one in the Senate. They're similar, but there's a little bit of difference. Knowing, is there a possibility that there could be, legislation that bans cell phones? Yes. I don't want to speak for Samantha. She can tell you her thoughts on it from a legislative standpoint, but she's one of many, right? So, and like one of the bills talks about, that they need to be locked up and turned off and so forth. And depending on how if it was to pass and final verbiage in it, if it's supposed to be locked up, we have like lockers available that they could put in their student locker, right? So that'd be a change of both middle school, high school. We don't have lockers at the elementary schools. And so then is it a backpack or is it not? Some districts, and I'm not advocating one way or the other, some districts have went to a kind of a total, and they lock them in a pouch. When they get to school, it locks them. Think of your like clothing department or whatever, you have the metal tags or the electronic tags that they take off when you check out. Think of that type of a pouch. At the end, they open it up with a special magnet that'll release it. During the day, some of the pouches, even if it's not turned off, it blocks to where phone calls and texts and stuff won't come in. Once you take it out, then it'll be those will come in with that. Those are pricey. I just by chance, it's been a while since I looked. I pulled up 3 different ones, just a quick Google search, $35, $30, and one was like $12. And when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, it looks like there's a reason it's 12 because maybe the quality wasn't as good.
And each one only holds one phone.
And only holds one phone. And so if you have that times, you know, I mean, quick math, we're not at 2,000 kids, you don't have elementary, but I mean, $35 at you know, that adds up to real money in a hurry. So I just share that because not knowing what will happen come from this, you know, that could be, but we do have a couple solutions that they've currently been working on or working with and so forth. I know that Joel mentioned, you know, like the smartwatch and stuff. I know like Sunflower's handbook, you know, specifically talks about smartwatches and then so does Cottonwoods. But you know, this is kind of where we're currently at. So
In the past, the legislature hasn't wanted to ban cell phones because they viewed it as a local issue. And now they have local school boards coming to their state reps and asking them to do the banning for them. Because, and I don't necessarily think that's the right way to go either, because every district's different. So ideally, if it does pass through either chamber, which is gonna be a hard push getting it out of committees on both sides either way, I would prefer that both of them were amended to say that if a district has a policy in place that's working, they can keep it.
I would say that would be my 2 cents, I guess, would be, I think it's probably something that's coming down the line, and I think if we locally get ahead of it and set it up and prepare our parents for it, if something happens, maybe we're a little bit ahead, or we don't have the chaos involved in implementing it from the state if it doesn't happen, and it's better off for our district overall.
Right, locally coming down, I mean,
Then
that
it
could be,
works.
what if that's 5-10 years from now? And so we're sitting around waiting for, I personally don't like like, the cell phone locker idea. If I'm a kid, I'm gonna be like, no, I didn't bring it to school today, and hide it in my back. I mean, honestly, like.
You're the one.
I am, I guess. And I don't know, as a parent, it makes me feel better knowing they have it on them. And so personally, I think that, turned off and, you know, as long as we don't see it, out of sight, out of mind, right? And kind of like Mark was saying, you know, hey, if we see it, it goes to the office. I like that way. Because as a parent, heaven forbid, something were to happen and the school gets locked down, I want a way to communicate with my kid. So, that's my 2 cents.
If something were to come down and it said that we could use what we already have, does that have, could we change our handbook wording to be consistent?
It would depend on the language of the legislation, if it says policy or just a blanket, if something's already in place.
Okay, so is it even in discussion yet? Like, do you even know like parameters of what it would be?
There's one in Senate Education and there's one in House Education. Neither of those committees have met yet. The first day that they'll be meeting is Thursday.
Okay.
So.
I believe they're listening to both those bills this week.
Mm-hmm. And there'll be amendments and stuff, so, but it's something that you need to keep an eye on. I can send it out.
So if we were to, is tabling this till March, maybe putting it on discussion for March, is that enough time, too much time? I don't know how quickly.
Would we have an idea of what the state is thinking by then?
Yes, it has a better idea, but it might be too late if it's already passed and it goes into effect upon a publication versus waiting until July 1st.
Gotcha.
That's my only, I don't think that they would say upon publication, because they would assume they'd want the districts to know and be prepared, so July 1st would make more sense to me.
If the board would like to, a policy, you can amend a policy, right? So just like I mentioned that the artificial intelligence thing, I mean, there could be some things that change or have to be revisited just because of the evolution of something. Cell phones, I mean, this could be similar, like if the board wants a board policy that states, if I have the framework of what you want, then I can work on having, say, at least a draft, or more than a draft, I mean, something to prove, because you're talking policies next month, right? And one of the things I didn't mention, but we do have a bring your own device policy. The reason it was on the books is because that was before we were behind. We were behind and we needed some stuff, and so there were some things where we did allow students. Well, it's an archaic policy that we need to remove. So next month, I already have it on the agenda to repeal that policy. That's just a local policy. But in addition, if you want something cell phone wise, if you can give us, I need enough feedback so I know what direction to go, so I can work on trying to align something. I do have an admin meeting later in the month. We can sit down. I can work on stuff. We can get it to where we can make something work, that works for all buildings. And then you can discuss it then, if that's what the board so chooses. I just need to know more than, hey, I like this or I like this. I mean, I really kind of need, you're not making a decision, but I need kind of more direction on, lead me down a little bit of a path so we can work on the some verbiage. And it doesn't have to be real technical. I mean, this is what it is, and this is how we handle it.
Maybe something similar to the high schools by including smartwatches? The middle school,
I don't
middle
know.
school.
Yeah. I mean, I personally like the 8 to 3 idea that the other school you were talking about, Jeff, had done. Now, how are they protecting that from, how are they monitoring that? I mean, were they locking that up, and how were they locking those up? Or how are they?
I should have read the policy before I came tonight.
I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I believe they weren't allowed to have it in the building, or if they brought it in the building, you needed to go in their locker.
In their car or in their locker or whatever.
So I've thought about not bringing them into the building, but that becomes a problem with all the early dismissals we do for activities. So now you're 5 minutes earlier to go out and get your phone because you're gonna want it when you're traveling in case something happens. But then the lockers, we currently only assign lockers to a student that wants one, but we can start assigning them again. That's no issue at all. So something we would just need to work through.
Well, I mean, and I guess to Christian's point about trying to get that, I'm envisioning if you're a parent trying to get a hold of your kid who's at the high school, and I think we've had this happen before, where the tornado's coming in and parents are trying to get a hold of their kids at the high school because there's a tornado warning, and the kids are actually safer to go to the tornado shelter and not have parents trying to get their kids, trying to communicate with their kids. And the cell phones, or everybody's cell phones, are locked up, and too many cell phones are working all at the same time. All of a sudden somebody can't get a hold. I mean, if parents know that I can't get a hold of my kid from 8 to 3 without calling the school, I have to call the school. I mean, we all survived going to school that way. I mean,
One of the messaging things that they missed their mark on and they sent out later that worked really well was they informed the public that every classroom in the district had a phone in it. And so in our case, we would have to train our students to use it because you got to push 8 to dial out, even if you're calling 911. And knowing that there is a classroom phone helped a lot. But I still understand how people, if there's a real, true, big time emergency, why they would want to be able to get through it.
I do too. I mean, I just, I don't know how you walk that line between those two.
Sure.
Because you have people who will have it on when they're not supposed to. You're gonna have, and it makes more work for you guys to police that.
Yeah.
Well, I have it on my body, but I'm not supposed to have it on. Well, it's too tempting to turn it on.
I feel like either way though, you would have to police it. I mean, either way, more your way or more the way that I see it.
Other than, I mean, I guess I'm envisioning it going in the locker from 8 to 3 and not, I don't know,
Yeah, but
I
what
don't
if it
know what
doesn't?
that would have to do what?
What if it doesn't? What if I keep it in my backpack and I just keep my mouth shut?
I don't know, I'm just.
Yeah, I know, I hear you.
I think the way the middle school policy reads is very beneficial. Mr. Lostein, do you feel like it was beneficial for you when you implemented this compared to what it was before?
I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, yes. I mean, we rewrote that. I think we've had it maybe 4 or 5 years worth, I think. But it's been okay. One of the things we switched to is we used to allow them to be able to be on their phone from 7:30 to 8 because school doesn't start until 8 o'clock. And last year is really kind of when we went to, hey, as soon as you come in the building, you're not supposed to be, we don't want you on your phone. It's worked okay, yeah. But Jeff said it too, though. Sometimes it depends on the classroom teacher also, right? Or it depends on what's going on in the day too. So, it's one of those things that you just have to constantly be aware about it. And, if it's going on, you try to address it the best that you can.
Okay, so based on the discussion, I would say that if we can move forward with a potential policy that is worded similar to the middle school, stop me if I'm not right. Maybe something along the lines of, if students choose to bring their electronic device, that between, not everybody's start time is 8, not everybody's end time is 3. So,
On dismissal.
yeah. Yeah, upon arrival and dismissal. If they choose to bring their device, that it needs to be turned off. I personally say kept in the backpack, but turned off. Sorry, I'm reading this. Yeah.
And then I like that he said it goes to the office if it's seen, and then if it's a repeat offense, then mom or dad has to come pick up the phone.
Can it say something about smartwatch and any paired devices?
Yes.
That would I think that would almost have to be tied in.
Electronic device.
But you're gonna have to almost write that,
Right.
because someone's gonna go, well, it doesn't say that.
Yeah, no, true, but.
Does electronic device.
I have my AirPods in, or I can
Yeah.
have my smartwatch,
So maybe
or whatever.
electronic device, i.e. smartwatch, phone,
Any paired
Putting that
device,
on level
yeah.
2.
Bluetooth paired device. Does that help give direction to that?
Yeah, this is one of those things, it's like when vapes became very popular, right? And so you had the vape, but then next thing you know, they had vapeware that came out. So you had hoodies that were, could be locked in. So regardless of what you put, you can't just limit it to say smartwatch, because the next generation of something will come out, right? So it's trying to word it in such a way. I will also say, I don't want to trivialize this at all, but it's like speed limit signs. We can go out to 169 that says you're not supposed to go 70 miles an hour, right? And yet, some people will do it and some won't, and some will pass law enforcement and some will get pulled over and some won't. No matter what we have, there will be people that will try to, and so we want black and white, but I guarantee you there's always a piece of gray in some of this and how we deal with it. So, but I think I have enough here that I can start to, and we can work on it. If it's something that we need to tweak next month, and you're still, like, okay, hey, go back to the drawing board, then we'll go back to the drawing board.
So, do you need a motion for us to?
No, because you're not
look over it
you're
each
not
month?
doing anything. All you're doing is giving me feedback so I can work on trying to draft a policy that would work from pre-K. I haven't seen one in I haven't seen a preschooler yet with one. Kindergarten, yes. Kindergarten, yes. So we'll have one that we'll try to work with the language for K-12.
Okay. And I understand the gray area, but I do think it's important to at least for the students to know the expectation.
100%. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Good on that? All right, we are ready to move on. We are at the open forum portion of our night. We have 2 speakers tonight. First up is Monica Andreessen. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. If you can state your name and your address, and then when you're ready, we'll start the timer.
Yeah, my name is Monica Andreessen, and my address is 813 Edgewood Drive. So My name is Monica Andreessen, and I'm the parent of, excuse me, two students at Cottonwood in first grade. Last week, the Miami County Republic published my editorial about the failure of the COLA adjustment and what that means for districts like ours. I wrote it because this moment calls for clarity, trust, and leadership, not silence. USD368 is facing roughly $1 million in lost purchasing power. That's not abstract, that's real pressure on classrooms, staff, and services. And when pressure rises, process matters as much as outcomes. What I want to speak to tonight is not just what decisions may be coming, but how those decisions are being made and experienced by the people who depend on this district. Kansas law is clear that executive session is intended for limited purposes such as personnel matters or legal strategy. It is not meant to replace public deliberation. Yet in our district, executive session has become routine, nearly every meeting. I'm not here to allege wrongdoing, I'm here to describe impact. When the board frequently moves behind closed doors, when public comment does not allow questions, and when families and staff are asked to simply trust the process, what it feels like on the other side is lack of transparency during a moment of real uncertainty. For parents, that feels like anxiety. For teachers and staff, it feels like waiting for decisions that could affect their livelihoods without knowing when or how they'll be communicated. For students, it feels like instability, even if they can't fully articulate that. Transparency is not disorder. Transparency is how trust is built before hard decisions land. Right now, the combination of significant budget pressure, frequent executive sessions, and a public forum where questions are not permitted creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, fear fills the space. Other districts facing COLA failures have responded differently. They name the numbers early, they share timelines, they involve the public before decisions were final, and they understood that silence increases harm even when the intentions are good. I brought with me tonight a 2-page handout outlining specific concrete actions other Kansas and Midwest school districts have taken in moments like this. These are not opinions, not politics, but governance practices that protect trust. I am not here to attack this board. I'm here to ask, without questions, for a shift in posture. A shift towards clear timelines, plain language, explanations, fewer closed doors where possible, and meaningful opportunities for the community to understand what is happening before it happens. Because process is communication. And right now the process feels close to the people who care the most. Thank you for your time and your service to this district.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next, we have Jennifer Laporte. Welcome. You'll give your name and your address, and then when you are ready to begin, you may.
Sure. My name is Jennifer Laporte. My address is 17125 West 239th.
Awesome.
Okay. Based on ever multiplying evidence that increased screen time has an extremely negative impact on student achievement and mental health, I strongly urge a reconsideration of the educational technology policy, both for the continued use of district-owned devices and the amount of individual technology use in classrooms. I recognize this would not be a simple change, but I also know that this school district excels at pivoting in challenging situations. During the pandemic, this school district led the area with its thoughtful and diligent response that benefited students and families. Students' cognitive development, academic achievement, physical, emotional, and mental health are all negatively affected by increased screen time. Digital technology has detrimental effects on critical thinking, focus, problem solving, and social skill development. More than half of all students now use a computer at school for 1 to 4 hours each day, and a full quarter spend more than 4 hours on screens during a typical 7-hour school day. Researchers estimate that less than half of this time is spent actually learning, with students drifting off task up to 38 minutes of every hour on classroom devices. The Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, is the world's largest standardized test. In 2012, 2015, and 2018, PISA asked hundreds of thousands of 15-year-old students how much time they spent using digital devices during a typical school day. when those answers were compared with test scores, the results told a clear and troubling story. The more time students spent on screens at school, the further their scores fell. On average, those who use computers for more than 6 hours per day scored 65 points lower than their peers who didn't use them at all. That's equivalent to a 2-letter grade drop. In contrast, research shows that reading and taking notes on paper rather than on screens is better for learning, achievement, and improved test scores. Linguistics professor Naomi Barron, in How We Read Now, states that students' understanding, comprehension, and retention were higher when reading print than when reading the same text on a screen. Additionally, students of all ages who had read the material in print scored higher on assessments than their peers who had used digital learning. Results from 24 separate studies revealed that taking and reviewing handwritten notes leads to higher achievement among college students. Veteran teachers and authors of Screen School, Joe Clement and Matt Miles, state, the fact that a low-tech education can still produce successful students shouldn't be surprising. What is surprising is how the higher-ups in technology companies responsible for putting technology in classrooms are removing their own children from the very educational environment they have worked to create. Helpful questions to consider when deciding about the use of any digital tool in the district. Where is the independent, replicated research showing it improves learning and is not otherwise detrimental? Even if a tool works elsewhere, has it been tested in our school with our students under our conditions? Finally, if no meaningful research exists yet, as is true with many emerging artificial intelligence tools, what is the clear evidence-based rationale that answers 3 questions? What specific problem does this tool solve? How will it improve learning, not just logistics? Why is this the best available solution? This board is uniquely positioned to make a true difference that will not only greatly benefit the students in our community, but could likely have a positive ripple effect across the state and even the nation. We are at the tipping point. The evidence is clear that the increased use of technology in students' lives is harmful. Our state legislature has already proposed a ban on cell phones in schools. McPherson Middle School has stopped using individual district-owned devices. A Missouri state legislator has proposed major decreases in the use of screen-based learning for elementary students. This is not about saving money or saving time. It is about saving the minds, lives, and futures of our precious children. And that will have its own ripple effect because the students in our schools today are the leaders in our community, state, and nation tomorrow. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next up on our agenda is our action items. The first one is the PHS choir trip to Chicago. Jeff, Matt, and Dr. Allison.
So our choir took a trip, was it last year or the year before?
Last year.
Last year to Branson, and Dr. Allison had mentioned that it was a goal of his to continue to travel with our students in his program. We had settled on offering a trip every other year, if I remember correctly, so students would have a chance a couple times in high school to do that. And so part of it would be to go and see a different part of the country and to learn from others that can complement what Dr. Allison offers locally. The students looked at several different options last year, and then they voted on where they would like to go. This is a trip that our students selected, and after they had picked a destination, Dr. Allison got the fun job of working through all the logistics, picking a company to make sure that our students were going and everything would be taken care of. So he's here to answer any questions you might have.
When would you be going?
Not this summer, but the June of 27.
Gotcha.
I have a lot of athletes, so we're trying to wait until after state track and state baseball in case state softball, so everybody can go as they so choose.
I assume they'd be pretty darn excited.
Yeah, so this was all student-led, so what I did was, who wants to serve on the committee to go places, and I had 6 kids that did this. They all picked a place, and then they presented that in a slides presentation to the whole class. I gave feedback with trying to be not partial to anything, because I'd been to most of the locations that were up there. And part of the reason we chose where we were, this is closer to home. And I've been to Chicago multiple times, so I know the area. We're only going to a couple places I haven't been before. And so it would keep costs down, and we could drive instead of fly, because that's when the cost starts getting up. The reason we're trying to do this way in advance is, if we do it now and they don't want to fundraise, my kids don't like to fundraise, and that's fine, that's great. If they don't want to, it's just $100 a month is about what it will be. But if they want to fundraise, then they can, and they'll each have their own individual account. So if they don't want to fundraise and they just want to blast out, you know, hey, I'm taking donations, here's how you donate, they can, it's all up on the kids. And then if they, like, we ran a concession stand, those 5 kids, I can put that money in their account and say, here's a check, the money needs to be divvied between these 5 people. So it can be done both ways.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you have an estimate of the cost?
It's not until we have an exact amount of people that are going, of course.
I see the little, yes.
And honestly, I don't know what numbers are going to be. I assume we'll be larger, I'm not going to lie. I only have 7 seniors this year, well, 6 seniors and a junior graduate. And usually every year I have 50 or so kids that will audition. And I take somewhere between 20 to 25.
So is this varsity?
Just varsity.
Just varsity, okay.
Yes. I can't require them to go, of course. And I have had a senior say, listen, this after school, do I have to go? I get it. But I think most of them would want to. I mean, they voted on this. They looked at the different locations, so I assume most of them will want to go. I assume, you know, money will be an issue for some of them, and I can tell them about fundraisers. I just can't make them do it. I don't like selling products, so we try to do other stuff like concession stands. We did a cornhole tournament, things like that, to where they don't actually have to sell products, because I hate it. I hate selling
I
products.
liked the cookie dough though. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
It's my jam.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking, is mostly stuff where we don't have to sell products. We have a committee that came up with fundraising ideas, and a parent that's very involved in that, but we haven't set on anything until we know that this is okay.
I read through and I love it. I love that it's so organized and detailed, that they will be busy and doing some really awesome things. So I think that your itinerary looks really great.
I'm especially excited, just to let you know from the last trip, everything went smoothly, but us old people stayed up very late. And it wasn't because they were just excited, honestly, and we got back to the hotel late and they were hungry and we ate early, and so there was door dashing happening until all ends of the night. But the security guard on the floor makes me feel better. So I've done a trip like this before. We went to at my last high school, we went to Cleveland, and they leave a list of rooms that were too loud, or if they had to knock on a door, and then you can deal with the kids the next day. I didn't have any of that problem, but that's what they do. So.
Well, I think your rising class sizes speak for itself. I think that you have a fun environment that they like to learn and sing in, and even kids that don't necessarily maybe like to sing just enjoy your class. So I think this is great. I think it's a great opportunity for the kids, and it's good for them to get out and see the world a little bit.
I'm shocked, even when we went to Branson, how many kids said they really hadn't ever left Paola. And so for them to experience something like this is something they won't forget. I mean, you pay this cost, but I think at the end there's like a memento. Like at the last company I did, I've not used this company before, but they were way more responsive than the other company I used. They gave us like a digital photo CD, DVD thing, and it went through all the pictures of where we went, and then I got a giant picture of their little tiny pictures that everyone took on the trip. It was an app they used, and then it was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and all those tiny pictures created the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame place.
That's really cool.
So,
That's cool.
Yeah, and honestly, it gives them a chance to work with a college professor. I was telling Jeff, I mean, I have a doctorate, and so I take my kids to Baker, and she's still working on her doctorate at KU. So when we go to places, some of these people are still doing stuff that I've already done. And so to get out and get to work with Vandercook is a very prestigious school. I mean, they email me all the time about music majors and higher ed. This is a great opportunity for them, a huge opportunity, actually.
Awesome. Any other questions?
So each student is responsible for raising their own funds, is that what you said? And you didn't have an estimate on how much?
It's about $1,100. I won't know.
Depending on how many kids go?
Yes, it's all about the grouping of numbers, and we're in this weird limbo between two groups. Is it included in this?
Yeah, I think it's on.
Yeah.
And Dr. Allison, chaperones in addition to yourself?
Yes, I already have 3 for sure. Teachers, staff people, 2 that already went, so I didn't scare them off. And then one, and then another staff member wanted to go. So I don't think I'll have problems with that. I asked them how many they wanted. Like some places have for every so many kids you have to have a chaperone, but all the places we're going does not have that. So right now I have 4, but if you think we need more, I'm sure we can figure something out.
And another parent teacher.
Huh?
You can have another parent session.
Yeah. So see, I have many people.
All right, any other questions?
I just wanted to say I think you're doing an absolutely amazing job at the high school, and I'm happy to support this.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Great. I need a motion to approve the PHS choir trip to Chicago.
I motion to approve the PHS choir trip to Chicago.
Can I get a second? Second? Thanks, sorry. Okay, motion second. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, next is the appointment for negotiation team members.
Can I nominate you?
Pardon?
Can I nominate you?
Oh, sure.
Nominate Amanda.
Moving right along. Okay. I have a motion for me. Second. Second. All those in favor? 7. Okay. Would anybody else like information about it?
We usually have 2. We usually have 2 people that serve, and different boards have done different things. They've had continuation where they've had someone do it a couple years in a row. There's been others that have had, when I say a veteran, someone that has done it in the past, and then they brought on somebody new that hasn't. So there's kind of a buddy system type thing and a kind of rotation. So there's nothing that it doesn't matter, I guess, how you progress towards it. For those of you that have not done this or been aware of it, the teachers union will have representatives. In the past it's been 4. The Board of Education has 2 members, and then Mr. Hay and myself will sit to give information to both sides, but to give information to the board and so forth. So we're there to help with the process, but it's the board members that are actually having that with the negotiating.
I moved to nominate Matt Blackie.
Doesn't mean you're interested in?
Is this for advice? What are we talking?
For it to be,
He's nominated you to be the second for negotiations team for the board. I second. Motion and second. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those, are you in favor or do you oppose?
That's fine, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
7-0. Awesome.
Good man.
We'll be in contact.
Yeah, and so what'll happen now is, by policy or by statute, that all negotiators have to have some training, and so we have an online training. I'll get that information for you, I'll help you with that and so forth. So
Appreciate
it's
it.
not just the
Thank you.
board side, I have to do it, Jimmy does it, the teachers do it as well, so it's pretty straightforward. We have a great working relationship with the teachers union and so forth, and people are amazed at how, when they say, well, how many sessions do you meet? I'm like, well, one, and it's usually not that much time, so, I mean, the past few years, so, great relationship, so it has not been a big issue, and I don't foresee it this year.
All right.
Madam President, I was gonna kind of pigtail off of that a little bit. I was wondering I guess I move that we, have some board discussion about maybe appointing a committee of 2 board members to maybe sit in on administration interviews in the future, similar to the way we do teacher negotiations, maybe. I don't know if that's something anybody's interested in discussing or not.
I have a motion. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's not on your, I'm not trying to squelch the discussion, it's not on your agenda
Okay.
that you approved to have.
I
So, I mean, there's different boards have handled it differently, of such that it's not on the agenda, and so it would need to be on a future agenda. Other boards have made a motion to allow it to be, a motion to allow something to be added to the agenda. If that passes, then that can be added as a topic and then discussed, or then for discussion.
Motion to add something to the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second. Motion is second. All those in favor?
Sorry, you had this.
Christian. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we have a motion and a second to add an item to the agenda. And I guess
my motion would be to have a discussion about creating, I guess we would call it a committee or a 2-board-member committee, similar to the way we do negotiations, to maybe sit in on administration interviews in the future, and it would just piggyback, I guess, my idea would be to piggyback off of the way the negotiations are, that it's nominated on January of every year, and can be the same person, can be rotating people depending on what the board nominates, would be my,
So you're thinking 2 people,
just mirroring the way we handle the negotiations.
and then are you thinking like as needed, or like for this year, if we need it, it's these 2, and then for this year, it's like, what are your?
Just to have.
okay. Hold on.
Go ahead.
So you motioned.
Yes. Sorry.
No.
It's
You're okay.
long-winded, sorry.
You're right. You motioned. I have a motion to open discussion for a 2-member committee for admin interviews. Do I have a second?
Do you want to open discussion or create?
Just open up discussion and see if it's something the board's interested in doing. I mean,
So does that need a second then to open a discussion? Yes. Because
I
I
second.
motion. Okay, motion, second. All those in favor to open a discussion on a 2-member committee for admin interviews? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All those opposed? No, you're okay. You're all right. Are you for or against opening a discussion?
I don't fully understand it, so I don't really know how to help.
Okay, so he's wanting, it's not on our agenda, so we approved to amend the agenda to add this item. So now he would like to open a discussion on potentially creating a 2-person board committee that would sit in on admin interviews. So at this point right now, it's just a motion to open the discussion. So are you basically approve?
Yes, approve.
Okay, so 7-0. Okay, discussion is open.
and I mean, I'll start, I've kind of said it, but I mean, similar to the way we nominate two people to oversee, and if there's no new administration spots to fill that year, there would be nothing to even sit in with on interviews for administrative staff. Is all just to work and be involved a little bit involved in the process, I guess, similar to the way we are in negotiations. I don't know whether that's something anybody's interested in doing or not.
For those of us who are new, how is it handled?
Yeah, how's it handled?
Policy has it that the job falls to the superintendent and building principal, correct?
Correct. So past practice and is that Board of Education, anytime there's a superintendent opening, the Board of Education works with usually they work with a company to recruit. And then the Board of Education interviews the superintendent candidates and make the decision for superintendent. Anything below the superintendent falls upon the superintendent's responsibility, and working with the other building administrators, teachers, and so forth. So what I can tell you is past practice has been, normally what happens is if we have, and it depends on if it's an elementary school, if there's one administrator versus a middle school or high school that has two, but normally I meet with the teachers. If it's an assistant principal or a principal, I will meet with the other administrator in that building. But I meet with teachers, talk about we have this opening, and then I have actually a survey that I send them. What are the characteristics and so forth? What are the different things that you're looking for? Take that feedback, we advertise it, and so then, because when you have an opening, you don't know what your applicant pool is until you have the applicant pool, right? So, and so then what you do is you take all that, you compile all those results, you have the application or the applicant pool that comes in, and then you do a paper screening to say, okay, do you want experience? Do you have to have experience? No experience? Hey, we're looking for the right person that has these characteristics and so forth. So you try to match that based off the feedback you have. Last time, which would have been with Mr. Melick when he was hired, I had that survey and it went to board members, and so board members submitted that survey as well, and that would be what I would. So then you have your stuff, and it gets added in with all the characteristics and so forth. Then we work. Then there's a teacher team. Usually I sit on the interview committee, the actual interview. We'll have other people, like for instance, Mr. Burchett. We'll meet the candidates, that we'll take them, do like a driving tour of the district, and we'll have some conversation with them. And so that's very informal, but you learn a lot about people during the informal time and what questions are asked and so forth. Then they come back, they sit through a very formal interview with the same questions and so forth. On that would be a teachers team of group of teachers and staff. If there is another administrator in that building, it would be there. If it's just an elementary and that's not, then it would be me leading that group of teachers. And I'll be honest with you, since I've done this, usually when you go through it and you deliberate and talk amongst, there is usually someone that comes to the top and everybody's in agreement. I've told the teachers that I'm part. There's no one person that has more clout or what have you. So I really listen to the teachers. I do tell them that I guess I hold veto power if I need to, but the goal is that would only come into play if there's someone that went through and I know something that they don't. And so we try to take care of all that before you even go through. That's part of the paper application piece. And so that's a process that we've used. It's been very successful since I've used that, and that's why it is. So to get feedback from board members, that's part of that survey as well. And so, go ahead.
One of the biggest frustrations of being on the board in general sometimes is that it's almost going to be left in the dark until the decision is made and then you have to vote on it, especially with the hiring process. So to be able to at least be involved to an extent or see the applicants. I think if it was just one or two board members, it would, I mean, we all have vested interest in the district. We live here, we have children that either are close to graduating, graduated, or are currently in school. So I think it would be a good thing personally, and I don't think it's, I mean, it's not saying that we disagree or that we agree, it's just we also want to have our say.
Well, I've talked to people, and it may have been years ago, I don't know how many years ago, who have talked about when they interviewed with the superintendent, and for administrative roles, they interviewed with, in other districts, and I think in our district in the past, people have sat and interviewed with the superintendents and usually sit with two board members before, and I didn't know if we did it or not. I'm just throwing out an idea, because I've heard that's been done in the past. Now, I might be dating myself, but maybe it may have been done that way 20 years ago. I don't know. But,
I've been in this office for 15.
I was gonna say, I don't know how long you've been here,
I was
Matt,
in
so.
administration at the middle school for 7 previous to that. So that's 22 years worth, and I've never heard that from our district. I'm not saying it didn't happen prior to.
Well, I know.
But I can tell you that has not occurred in the last 22 years.
Well, I mean.
For here.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not arguing with you.
No,
I'm just saying
I
that's what
know.
it's-
I'm just saying, I've heard that that's how some people do it. You know, if it was something we were interested in doing, I'm just throwing it out there.
I got a question.
Have some conversation about it.
So if we appoint 2 people, they sit on the interview, can those 2 people then report back to the other board members before we vote on approving that admin being hired?
No, not in open session. It would have to be at a meeting. It would have to be at a meeting during an executive session, because you're talking a potential personnel issue. And you can't do it previous to a board meeting, because then you're having a meeting, a serial meeting, or a meeting without.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And so what do you see the benefit of having those 2 people if we can't share it with others about, hey, they're getting ready to hire this person, we don't agree with it? What would be the benefit?
Well, I would think that the 2 people would meet them before, and the board meeting would happen with an executive session where we'd be able to discuss it, and then the hire would be the next month. That would be my assumption on the process, but that could be a long time.
I don't know about that. I'm just,
In a situation like that, I mean, if you're playing it out, so if there was an opening, and I mean, for the public, there is, Darren has submitted his retirement, so, and so we will have an opening at the high school. So if you play that out timeline wise, you're looking at about a month to have the opening posted. And so then you try to do a quick turnaround. The interviews would not take place prior to the February meeting. And so there's no way to have that in place. So then you're talking, if you bring it to March, I'll be honest with you, if these timelines are so tight that if you push it off a month, you're gonna have I can see that board or administrators would not be interested, because if they're holding on to, hey, yes, I've tentatively accepted this, but now I'm in limbo for another 4 weeks, and then they find out that they're not approved, then they've lost out, and so I mean no this is going to sound like I'm being disrespectful, and I mean no disrespect by this at all. This muddies it up. I mean, it really does muddy it up. And so, I mean, I think we have a good process involved, and that's part of the reason I have, I've tried to send that survey out to get that feedback, and I will share that information that I get from. There's nothing secret about that. Now, what I don't do is I don't just share it out for everyone to see. Because whenever you have an opening, if you have internal people and so forth, I got to keep some of that embargoed, if you will, until so the process is fair and even as you go through it.
I wasn't envisioning it something that would report back. I guess I'm envisioning similar to negotiations in the way that we nominate two people to represent the board's interest, and we trust those people to sit in and see the interview and give their 2 cents in the interview, whatever that is. And as a board, the 7 of us agree that those 2 people would represent the board and ask any questions in that interview, and we trust their judgment by nominating them. We're trusting their judgment and their ability to sit in and provide questions or ask questions and give their 2 cents. And at the end of the day, that's basically all I'm getting at, I guess, is what I'm saying, to where the board maybe has a little bit of representation to ask any questions in those interviews. Because, I mean, after sitting here for 2 years, I think we trust, we have to trust our administrators, I feel like, to help manage the school. And I think they're probably a bigger part of managing the school than probably what I envisioned 2 years ago when I got here. And I think it's an important part to where if the board has any 2 cents of what they're looking for, I gives 2 people on the board to convey the board, whatever the board entrusts them to believe, trust those people to represent the board's interest in that. Similar to negotiations, I would say. I mean, we trust Amanda to speak for us in negotiations without coming back to us and asking us anything. We're nominating her to sit in that negotiation and speak for the board. That's kind of the way I was looking at it.
I see what you're saying from the policy standpoint. The recruitment, we as a board delegate authority to the superintendent. The superintendent may involve admin and other employees. I would assume that if you requested a board member or multiples presence, that would be a possibility under your, what's the word I'm thinking?
Recommendations?
Yeah, you think it would be beneficial to the process. You could have the authority to invite someone to the interview if you so chose. Under that.
Okay, so.
Is how I'm reading that.
Okay, so sit in my seat after hearing this discussion and say, I don't want your input. I mean, I don't mean to, and then it's like, okay, well then I get more arrows, pointed at me or whatever. I don't mean to, no, but that's
I guess I'm reading this as.
I understand what you're saying.
Whose responsibility is it to do the hiring? And as I read this, it is your responsibility to recruit and hire. And it is our responsibility as a board to approve, trusting your recommendation.
That's how Paul, the policy.
Right. My personal opinion is, while I understand wanting to have a voice in that, per this policy, I don't know that that's where, to me, I feel that's where the line is drawn.
What policy are you looking at?
I think GACC, recruitment and hiring.
The board creates the policy.
Right.
So it is a board-created policy.
Right. It was a recommendation back in '98. It's been approved and amended over the years several times. I mean, if I'm going off history, Ben Mellick and
Riffle?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Riffle and Amy Wright.
You've done a fantastic job.
We have gone with.
No arguments at all.
We've gone with the expectation, but the recommendation. I think the things that have been put in place, like the survey and him getting that information from us, my opinion is that is our 2 cents. I see us being in there as different from being at negotiations. We as board members on the negotiations, it's a verbal conversation back and forth between us as a board and the teachers, and that kind of like, it's a back and forth conversation, whereas hiring someone is not that. And going forward, if we appoint two every year, I mean, at some point, it may be two people that don't know education. It may be two people that don't know our district really well. Maybe they just moved into the district and they don't know our community very well. I mean, I think.
Well, it's not asking them to pick.
No,
You're still.
No, I understand that.
And I don't think we need to nominate yearly. I think just based off of as needed. But I like the idea of two of us, but maybe not reporting back to everybody, just to have a voice.
Yeah, I'm not thinking anything for that. Like I said, I'm just throwing it out there
Sure.
if it's something that anybody wants to discuss. Doing, because we were doing the negotiations and that was the model I thought might work, so.
Yeah, I know there are, maybe not other school districts, but I know that other entities that, run off of boards, hospitals, different things do. I have heard of them having a board member or two sitting in on interviews.
I like the idea of having more say, but I don't necessarily, I almost feel like it does muddy the waters a little too much in that aspect. I think it's something that we should definitely think about going forward, but I don't know if that's necessarily the best
If it doesn't delay the timeline, does it muddy it for you to have two board members in the interview? If it doesn't affect your timeline or decision at all?
Against my better judgment on how I'm gonna word this, it feels like I have multiple people wanting to be the superintendent in this discussion.
Yep.
And because this is from my schooling or what have you, it's this is the responsibility of the board, and then this is the responsibility that comes from that line to go forward. It's not like I'm trying to hide anything. What I can tell you this, the one thing that we cannot control in this whole process is I can't control the applicant.
No, you can't. No.
Okay, the applicant pool, and I'm gonna go back, when I hired an assistant principal, when the first time I went to a principal and I hired, for middle school assistant principal, there were 60-some applicants, if I recall, okay? When Ben was hired last year, we had, I think, not quite 15, and when you take out the people, there were a few that didn't even have education degrees, period. So you just have stuff, but that's what when you really take it and whittle it down, your pool becomes, so I can't control the applicant pool. Now, what we can do is we can try to recruit, word of mouth, we try to get that information out there. I think that we've had a very good process, and that's worked through, and luckily, we haven't had this. If we did have a situation where, we didn't have a good pool, then, we repost and we've done that with other positions before. Luckily, we have not had to do that with administrative, but the pool of all positions have become less. And so, I guess I'll just leave it at that. I think we have a really good process. It's one that has worked, and we've been successful with that here of late. The part of the reason it is set up the way it is because we're a small town, right? And so I don't know who the applicants are going to be involved. If we have some, is it possible? And this may be a stretch, but is it possible that we have an applicant that is extremely close friends or a family member, or there's some conflict of interest and so forth? We will have ideas on who like our team is, but it's not finalized until we know who who the people are that we're gonna interview and so forth, because, so we can try to alleviate anything in regard to that. If there are, I've also had in the past, I can think of a situation where if there was a concern with, an applicant pool, or someone came in and there was a concern, hey, is this somebody that potentially could be supported, or if I think there's a concern, then that's stuff that I bring to the board. Again, it has to be an executive session. That kind of stuff can happen before the interview takes place, but it would not, and if there's not, then, there are ways for me to go about it, and that is one, is I can send something to board members, and then you have to give me feedback individually. You can't talk amongst yourselves, but it's like, hey, here's the situation. I need feedback individually. You supply the information back to me, and then I collect it. You all don't know what each other have said because of transparency and having the meetings here. So.
I don't think he's trying to upset or step on anybody's toes.
No,
I think,
I'm
and correct me if I'm
seriously.
wrong, coming from the standpoint of the 7 of us have to approve a name of who, we've never even met. And so it's hard to just see a name come across the screen and go, here, approve this.
You do give us notice, though. That's when they will say, we had time to look into the background ourselves after you gave us a. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's.
When you recommend someone, do we get any information about that person other than their name?
I've had, I can
I'm just
send,
asking
I can
'cause I
send
don't
an
know.
application
I don't know.
and stuff. That's something. Resume, I think I sent the resume and stuff.
I didn't know if it was blindly just based on the one person's name, or if you actually saw information about that person.
You're given one name with the information.
Yeah, the applicant pool is not shared.
Yeah.
No. And for that matter, the teachers that sit on, they're not shared that applicant pool either. What we do is we go through, when I say we, it's myself, it's Justin, we look at, if it's curricular, then we have multiple administrative people look at it and say, okay, who is worthy for at least the initial round of interviews, and then if we need to expand outside of that after the first, then we do that. But again, that's a process that we've had, and it's been successful.
I hear what you're saying. I have concerns with it, so my personal feeling is I don't think we should. I think we have things in place that have proven themselves at least 3 times in our tenure to check, balance, and work until now. So my recommendation would be to not. So I guess we're in an open discussion. Do we have to end the discussion first and then?
You would just have to move to end discussion, which, we moved to open it, right? You would move to
Okay.
close it. or
Is there
whatever.
any more discussion?
Motion to close discussion?
Motion to close discussion. Do I have a second? We'll go Jamie second, Samantha first. Samantha motion, Jamie seconded. All those in favor to close the discussion? 7-0. Do I have a motion? Last on our action items is the approval to approve the resolution to continue reorganization of the board at the July BOE meeting.
Motion to approve.
So basically, a little background for the new guys. Typically, the reorganization would happen in January, right? Like July. Well,
Yeah.
we're moving it. To
Historically, the board elections occurred in April, and you took a seat in July, and so everything went with the fiscal, or the school calendar, July to June. Years ago, when they changed it, and so now here you are in January, then with that, then the leadership or having the reorganization then followed with it being January. Now, as part of that statute, it allowed boards to continue with a July reorganization meeting, which is what we have done as a district.
Yeah, the statute says January,
And
or
so,
when the board decides.
or when the board decides, so every January, because it's been July, we have passed, historically, they have passed this resolution to say, yes, we want to continue to reorganize in July, which in my opinion makes sense, because that's when we're starting the new year, we're talking budget and so forth, and we don't have, new people coming in. And so the only time you would reorganize is if someone was a president or vice president that was up for reelection, and if they lost, then you would have to reappoint. But like in this case, our board members knew they weren't going to rerun, and so they didn't take so that's why we continue to reorganize in July, to follow our calendar year.
Okay, so.
Move we approve the resolution.
Well, Samantha already motioned.
Oh, okay. All right,
So
sorry,
you-
I'll second.
Second? Okay, so we have a first and a move and a second to approve the resolution to continue reorganization of the board at the July BOE meeting. All those in favor? 7-0. All right.
We'll need you to sign this resolution,
Okay.
either before or after the.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with Matt, Justin, and Mark Glassine to discuss personnel matters pursuant to personnel matters for 20 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, there it is.
10 minutes.
Pursuant to personal matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy and interests of the individuals to be discussed, and that we return to open session in this room at 8:02.
Perfect. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Samantha, Christian, all those in favor? 7-0. Okay, we will be back in 10 minutes.
Motion, thank you, to extend executive session for 10 minutes, coming back in at 8:12.
Second, motion and second, all those in favor?
Be
We're
6-0.
6-0. 6-0, Sean's
Sean.
out on this one.
have it, like, they might buy them, like, maybe they'll nice.
Second one, same thing personnel.
Scott, you were right.
Jeff.
You were right. It is cool.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with
Matt, Jeff.
Justin, Jeff, and Darren, to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect privacy and interest in the individuals to be discussed. And we return to open session in this room at 8:33.
Yep.
A second.
At that time?
Second. All those in favor? 7. All right. 8:33.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. All right. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion is second. All those in favor? 7-0. All right.
For the record, I didn't watch the job.
Thanks, guys.